Hey everybody, John Gibson, SVP of TPO over here at Flagstar, and I'm really excited about our next guest. He brings a ton of a wealth of knowledge in regards to all things Flagstar, but more importantly, just about the business, leadership. And I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hello, Rich Hoffmann. I've been with Flagstar for 21 years. I manage the Eastern region for TPO sales.
Now you've been here a while. As we move forward into this marketplace, how do you see Flagstar positioned from like an innovative perspective? And it doesn't necessarily need to be technology, but it could be that. But just want to get your thoughts on where you see us and where we sit today and where we're going.
Yeah, I think we're at a really great point in time. I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think we have done a great job positioning ourselves in this environment where we're at right now. But I see a couple different things. I look at our platform and then I look at product. And within platform, you probably have the technology piece, which we're continuing to pour resources into, and we're doing as we sit here today,
yeah,
even so
absolutely.
over the last couple of years. But I think also it's the process. It's not just technology, right? It's making the process more efficient. It's maybe changing some things, pulling this piece out of the process, combining some things to make the experience for our customer more seamless and integrated and efficient for them so that they can close a loan, even quicker. And then I think the other part of it is just from a product perspective. If you look at what we've done the last 2-3 years from a product perspective, we've really done just a phenomenal job. If you talk about what we've done from a securitization perspective, what were we, the number 2 securitization issuer?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
for the full year.
For the full year, that's absolutely phenomenal. And now we're offering balance sheet opportunities, right?
That's right.
And what that does is, which a lot of our competitors can't do, right? Not having a balance sheet like we have. But what that's allowed us to do is to give our customers a more competitive offering in their marketplace, which a lot of our peers can't do.
I totally agree with you. And I think the future's bright, right? Because there's some stuff that we're getting ready to work on the non-QM side, the HELOC side, the construction, and kind of retooling the whole construction lending suite that we have. So I think there's a lot more coming. I think, to your point, I think we're in a pretty good place, and the trajectory is still going in the right direction. I would be insane not to ask you this question because you and I have had conversations about this before, and I know you're extremely passionate about it. Talk to me about on the government side of the house and from a government lending perspective. I know you have some thoughts on it. Why do you think we're as good as we are?
We've been committed and dedicated to the government space since our inception, and what that's allowed us to do is, we grew it organically.
Yeah.
Angelo did a phenomenal job and still does, but back in, earlier on, we were hiring, and still do, just the best of the best from an underwriting perspective. And that's important because those loans aren't black and white like they're on the conventional side.
That's
and
right.
There is, if you go ask any TPO, there is an absolute true detection as to whether the company you're doing business with on the government side knows government lending, right, and has a good understanding of it and does it very well.
Sure.
Or you kind of just get by and you get it done, right? And we've always just done such a great job. I mean, we would have Angelo and his team go out on the road for years, going back 15, 20 years ago, and we would educate customers on government lending. And we still do. We do the seminars and we give them the pros and the benefits of doing an FHA loan versus a conventional loan and vice versa, and all the little ins and outs. And I think, as long as we stay true to that, we will always have a decided advantage.
Since I came on board, you and I have had numerous conversations about that, and there's a moment in time where we were out of it during the pandemic for a variety of reasons, but you can see that volume's ramping back up. And business partners, you've mentioned it to me, a couple examples of partners that have literally built their whole operation around sending a government loan to us. It's almost like, while it says Gibson Mortgage on the name, it's really Flagstar behind the scenes.
We've taught them how to originate the
That's
product
right.
for years, and so we've given them an additional revenue stream, if you will, that they didn't previously have.
That's right.
And so they've gotten so comfortable with, directing that business to us because of how we manage it, that it's become just massive, for so many of our customers. And that, much like transitioning a customer to become a correspondent, those are the things that are just a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years were probably dramatically different than what the marketplace we're in today, and probably trajectory-wise where we're going to be for a little while. As a leader, from your perspective, what do you think are like the one or two most important things that when you wake up managing your sales force or your account executives, you try to focus on?
Number one, you don't have to keep them motivated because these guys are, our entire sales force is wakes up ready to work, right? Yeah. It's really, the way I look at it every day, it's block out the noise and let's just focus on us and doing what we have to do.
Sure.
And, I think if you do that, you're going to have a greater opportunity to control what you can control, right? And drive more business instead of worrying about where rates are going, what our competitors are doing. Not that it's not important to know what your competitors are doing, right?
Sure.
But I think during this environment where you have to roll up your sleeves and really focus consciously on what do I need to do to grow my business versus what's going on everywhere else.
Well, I think that's what you're talking about is the shift, right? Yeah. The last 2 years, not saying it was a different kind of hard, right? The volume was there. You had that's right. You had $4 trillion worth of market. You were more managing the volume and the pipeline. And now it's more of that shift to, okay, now I got to go hunt again. Yeah. And I got to go do these different things to drive those relationships home. So I love that you said control what you can control, because that's a big thing, right? Like we can sit around and complain about it, but a lot of these things are out of our control. What are you going to do differently?
That's the way they're built and wired.
That's right.
Right. So it's really just, to your point, it's getting them shifted back there. I mean, I think we have the best sales force in the industry, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't wired that way.
Agree.
And so I think it's a natural progression, but it took a little bit here to get back to this, but they're ready for the challenge, no doubt about it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you joining me today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and again, Rich Hoffmann, he's one of our regional vice presidents. He manages the entire East Coast for us, and man, not only at Flagstar, but he's been doing it for a very long time. And I think there's not only from a leadership perspective, but just from an overall industry perspective, I think there's a lot of good information there that he shared with us. So I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Appreciate it.